Hello everybody, today we're talking about kitchen safety. So let's start by talking about how to prevent burns. One way to do that is to make sure you always have a pot holder and oven mitts easily accessible in your kitchen, so that when you're taking hot pans out of the oven, you can do that easily and safely. Never use a kitchen towel to take food out of the oven. They're not as thick, so they don't provide as much protection. If they're wet, they'll really conduct the heat to your hands very quickly and can cause burns. They also, if they dangle down into the heating element, could cause fires. Make sure you turn pot handles towards the center of the stove, obviously not over a burner that's on, but if you have it facing out, like in the bottom picture, a child could come and grab it and pull it down on themselves. You could accidentally walk past it and bump it and knock it down, and so those are very dangerous burns that could happen from those. If you're checking your food to see how it's cooking, if it's thickening, you need to lift the pan lid away from you. That allows the steam to funnel out away from your face, and then you can check your food. Never turn that pan lid towards you, because then it'll funnel it right towards your face and you can get steam burns. Turn off the oven and burners when you're finished cooking as well. Prevent kitchen fires. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher available in your kitchen. You should never use water on a grease fire. And we'll look at another video that will show what happens, but it's very dangerous to do that. If you have a fire in a pan, you can take the lid of that pan and just slide it over. That'll take away the oxygen from the fire and put out the flames. If you don't have a lid that fits, or you don't have a lid readily available, you can also grab a cookie sheet or a pizza pan and slide that over the pan. You want to turn off the heat then and leave that pan or lid there so that it can cool down and not reignite the flames. If it's a small fire, and if it's safe to do so, you can put baking soda or salt on the flames. A little more about preventing kitchen fires. Never try to move a pan or an appliance when it's on fire. You're adding oxygen and can actually fuel the fire. Don't let the fire block your exit. So if it's getting out of hand, if it's harder to control, don't try to fight it yourself. Let the firefighters do that and get yourself and your family out to safety. Turn off the burners when you're finished cooking, and don't store anything that's flammable in the stove or around the stove. Some people will put things in the oven and forget about them and then turn on the stove, and then that can cause a fire. Or if you have things around the oven that is flammable, if a fire starts, it's going to help feed the fire to make it spread faster. Preventing falls. Make sure you wipe up spills immediately, and that way you have no areas that might be slipperier and cause falls. Don't leave toys or other objects in the middle of the floor. If you have kids or pets, sometimes they like to leave things lay, so keep an eye on that. When you're cooking and you're busy or you have things in your hands, you may not see them as well, and it could definitely cause you to fall or trip. And those falls could be a little more dangerous, especially if you have hot items in your hands. And use a sturdy step stool to reach high places. So like the little girl in the picture, using a trash can or something that's not very stable to try to reach up and grab something can cause falls because it's not meant for that purpose. Preventing cuts. Make sure that if you have a broken glass, you want to prevent yourself from having bare skin come in contact with the broken glass. So as much as you can, use a broom and a dustpan to sweep that up and get rid of it. If you have glass in areas where you can't reach, take a paper towel and dampen it, and then you can use that to pick up the glass and then throw it away. You don't want to use a kitchen towel because some of the glass can stay in the fibers of the towel and then cut someone later. Always use a cutting board. Don't try to cut things as you're holding them in your hand. Wash knives separately. Don't put those into the sink under the soapy dishwater where you might not be able to see them, and then as you reach into the sink, you could grab a blade and cut yourself. Make sure blades are facing down as you're trying to cut, and you want to slant away from you. So if it slips, it's not coming right towards your hand. Use sharp knives. Dull knives are not safer. They actually make you put more pressure, and so they're more likely to slip and cause cuts. Make sure you store knives properly, either in a butcher block, wooden butcher block, or you can get the plastic knife shields that can go over the blades and keep them safe as they're being stored. Also, make sure you're keeping them out of children's reach. If you're cut, something's happened and a knife falls, don't try to catch it. you more than likely will probably catch the blade and cut yourself. So get out of the way and let it fall. Electrical safety, don't overload outlets. You don't want to look like the bottom picture. Yes, in the kitchen there are a lot of things that, small appliances and things that might need to be plugged in, but don't try to use too many in one outlet at a time. Remember, water and electricity do not mix. Don't have plugged in appliances near the sink, or if you have dry any water that might be on the counter before you plug in those appliances. Don't plug in appliances with wet hands. Avoid using damaged cords, and try to avoid getting to the point where the cords are damaged. It is safest to grab the plug and pull that instead of grabbing a cord, and that could cause more damage from the strain on the cord. Read the owner's manual. Make sure you know how to properly use small appliances before you use them. Chemical safety. Keep your chemicals in original containers. They should be labeled, have the directions. Never put them in food containers where somebody might think that it's something else and accidentally ingest them. There's been cases where people put them in food containers and then kids unknowingly drink them. So keep them in the original containers, and again, that keeps your directions there too. Don't ever mix chemicals. You don't know what kind of reaction the chemicals will have. If you're cleaning something and one chemical is not working, use that and then clean it up and then try something different, but never mix them to try to get something stronger. Store chemicals away from children so that they should not be able to access them, like the little boy in this picture, someplace where they can't reach, or put child safety locks on them. And then it also shouldn't be with food. You don't want your cookies sitting beside bleach or cleaners or bug spray. Make sure you have proper ventilation so that if it is a strong cleaner, you can get that out of the kitchen, the smells if it's opening a window or something like that, so that you can have a safe atmosphere. And put food away before spraying, and then clean all surfaces to remove any chemical residues before you get food out and start preparing the next meal. So there's a few kitchen safety tips. Definitely things to think about to keep yourself safe, to keep your family safe in the kitchen. If you have any questions, let me know, and have a nice day.